of simple shapes, Part 1. Today we will learn how different shapes are measured and why do shapes need to be measured.
Vandana, look, my father has given me this book.
Oh, this is a very big book. I too have a big book. See this.
Yes, it is also a big book, but my book is much bigger.
No, I think my book is bigger than yours.
Look, my book is bigger than your book.
Look, from this side my book looks much bigger.
Oh yes, my book is bigger from one side. And your book is bigger from this side. Then whose book is bigger?
Let's ask Madam.
Yes, let's go. Madam, we have to ask you something.
Sure. Madam, we have these two books. We have to know which one of these two books is bigger. That is very easy to find. Vandana and Neha, you try to find out which of these two books occupies more space.
But how will we know which book is bigger?
Different shapes are measured based on how much space they occupy. Both these books are a quadrilateral, meaning they have four sides or edges. Madam, it means that to find out which one of these two books is bigger, we have to find out how much space it occupies. Yes.
But madam, how can we find out how much space a shape occupies?
It is very easy to find out. For this purpose, we use square-shaped pieces. You can also make these pieces using paper, cardboard or plastic. I have square-shaped pieces made of plastic. All the sides of these pieces are 5 centimeters each. You take these pieces and place them on these books in such a way that it covers the whole book so that the pieces remain within the boundary of the book.
Madam, I don't understand fully. Can you show how to perform one book so we can do the other one ourselves?
Alright, check this out. This is your book. Now we place the square-shaped plastic pieces on top of this book in such a way that there are no gaps between the pieces.
Madam, the book is completely covered with square-shaped pieces. But how do we know the measurement?
Of course, we know now that we need 36 pieces to cover this book. Now measure the other book in the same way. Then you will know yourself which book is bigger.
Okay, now we will measure the second book. We place these square-shaped pieces on the other book in such a way that no piece is placed on top of each other.
Now tell me, Vandana, how many pieces did you need to cover this book?
We used 35 pieces to cover this book.
Now tell me, whose book required more pieces to cover?
Madam, 35 pieces were used to cover my book, whereas 36 pieces were required to cover Neha's book. That means, Madam, more pieces were required to cover my book.
So does this mean that Neha's book is bigger than mine? Yes, because Neha's book will occupy as much space as 36 pieces. And your book will occupy as much space as 35 pieces. This means that Neha's book occupies more space than your book. That means Neha's book is bigger.
Now I understand why we can say that Neha's book is bigger than my book. Like this, what are the objects we can measure?
Whenever you asked to measure a shape, you can use this method, Neha and Vandana.
Give us some examples, madam.
Alright, Neha. See, you can measure the desks of your class. You can also measure the board in your class in the same way. Field measurements are also taken in this way. But madam, why do we need to measure like this? See, Vandana, every object has a different purpose, and that purpose defines how the object will be measured. For example, when making your class desk, special attention is paid to all the things that will be placed on it. The more items that can be placed on it, the more useful it becomes. So, to measure your class desk, we will measure how much space it occupies. Similarly, the efficiency of a farm depends on how many plants can be planted in it. If the field is small, it occupies less space, then fewer plants can be planted on it. And if the field covers more space, then more plants can be planted on it. Therefore, to measure a field, we will measure how much space it occupies.
Understood, madam.
Madam, can you give us these pieces? We will measure a lot of objects with this. Why not, Vandana? Keep this with you and measure different objects with it.
Thank you, madam. Now we can measure many objects.
Today you learned that to measure any shape, we find how much space it occupies. And to measure some items like fields, desks, etc., we measure the area they cover.